there is a post that I see come up on forums
Okay.
every once in a while, and it pisses me off.
Lay it on me.
People think Dark Souls 2 is better than Dark Souls 1.
It isn't?
Fuck. No. It comes up all the time too, and like, I've seen an especially funny argument today is like, well, all the Dark Souls 1 players, they won't call it a bad game.
It's not a bad game.
And yeah,
It's not.
nobody's saying it's a bad game. People are saying Dark Souls 1 is significantly better. And
Yeah.
yeah, it really is, and it's annoying to deal with. And the other perspective that people come from too is like, oh, you'd like Dark Souls 2 better if it was your first game.
That's not true at all. Okay, now, I think you know this. I actually played Dark Souls 1 a couple times. I couldn't get into it. I was like, I don't like this game. I'm not good at it. Can't do it. So then I picked up Dark Souls 2, because I heard someone told me it was better, actually, believe it or not. I guess they weren't a hardcore Souls fan. But anyway,
Yeah.
they told me it was better, and I was like, well, let's see what's going on here. And I had a lot of fun. And I was like, dude, I really dig this. And I remember talking to you and talking to our other buddy too, and I was just like, it's just better. It's just better. And I'm like, I legitimately thought it was better. So I can see where those people are coming through. And that's because I hadn't really played Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
And then I sunk more time into Dark Souls 1. I'm like, oh god, Dark Souls 1 is so... And then you go and try and play Dark Souls 2 after Dark Souls 1, you're just like, you feel like you're made of molasses or something.
Yeah,
It's just, everything's
yeah.
clunky as fuck.
Yeah, it's so bad, and it's... A lot of the problems just come from like how they changed the placement of the enemies and the stats in the game. So they added stats to slow down your rolling, unless you put stats into that, which means you're less
Yeah.
effective.
The stats confuse the shit out of me in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, it's bouncing. It's a whole bunch of these things that are fighting against each other instead of being things that kind of define who your character is, which is what the purpose of a stat in a role-playing game is. You're supposed to define who your character is. So you get this kind of like slow clunkiness because you can't get good stats because the system's set up like that. And you combine it with crap tons of enemies, just because more is better, right?
But I mean, Dark Souls 2 is a better looking game. You have to give it that.
Yeah, it's slightly better looking.
And there are more diverse areas, which is interesting.
Inappropriately more diverse areas.
I'm just trying to get you out of that.
It's like the theming in that game is just so silly because you can go from like sunset to nighttime for no reason. You can go from
I'm delicious.
like top of a cliff to on like boardwalks without going down much at all. And then there's a friggin' mountain lava.
That made no sense. I was really confused by that. Yeah.
It's awkward. I think everybody admits the world design is worse. And yeah, game mechanic wise, it's worse.
It is worse. It is worse. Plus, just, I don't know, the whole area in Dark Souls 1, it just reminds me of like the castle in Symphony of the Night. It's just like, everything just fits together so perfectly. It's like, damn, this is awesome.
Yeah, the game as a whole, and like, actually, I'm thinking too, story. Story in Dark Souls 2 is meaningless.
Yeah.
In Dark Souls 1, it was like, oh man, this is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's something you discovered how cool the story was. In Dark Souls 2, there's not much to discover there.
Yeah, I mean, most of it's in like item descriptions and things like that, right? Like with Dark Souls, you really have to dig for the story.
It's the same for both, but like Dark Souls 2 doesn't add.
To Dark Souls 1 story. It's
Yeah.
kind of a self-contained thing, which is really something I'm hoping that's different in Dark Souls 3, which I think it is. I think it's more Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yeah,
You just sound so sad, dude. You're like defeated.
not defeated because I'll argue vehemently with anybody for a very long time that Dark Souls 1 is better than Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's disappointing like that people don't see it.
I think most people do, like the hardcore fans.
Yeah, I think most people do favor Dark Souls 1, and hopefully we see a reprisal of.
You know what we should do?
What?
You should post this to the Dark Souls 2 Reddit.